Yes, I've got more of the whistles from my collection in this latest video, and the reason I am making this one is one, not just to show you more whistles, but also to show you the range of purposes for which whistles were manufactured back in the 1800s and early 1900s. So I've got a total of 4 whistles here, and I'll be talking about each one of them in turn. And I will start with this one. This is a design that goes back to the early 1900s. It's a two-pipe whistle, and it's actually what's called a taxi call or a cab whistle. Back in the old days, before most people had cars, they would get around by horse-drawn taxi cabs, or they would use early motorized taxis. And if you were the kind of person who was out and about all day long, you didn't want to have to keep whistling or calling or waving your arms to attract a passing taxi cab that you wanted to go somewhere. So instead of having to physically wave them or flag them down, you would carry something like this in your jacket pocket or in your handbag or your briefcase. And if you needed to go somewhere and you saw a handy taxi cab passing by, you would take this out. You would blow them down, and the cab would stop. And this was how you called them. Back in the old days, back in like the 1910s, 20s, 30s, one of the main people who used these was actually people who worked at train stations and hotels, the luggage porters at train stations, and the doormen who would answer the door at big fancy London hotels, the Savoy, the Dorchester, the Ritz, Claridge's. They would all carry whistles like these in their uniform pockets so that they could very easily just pull them out and call for a taxi for a hotel guest or a train passenger who had just arrived. Very convenient and a lot faster than having to stop and wave and shout, which is very undignified if you're, the representative of a fine London hotel. So instead, you would use one of these. So another one, which I have, is this one. This, again, is from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's made by J. Hudson and Co., the famous whistle manufacturer, and it is stamped GPO, and that is General Post Office. So this is a postman's whistle or a mail carrier's whistle. And the reason that mail carriers had whistles is because back in the old days, unlike today, you used to get mail deliveries far more frequently than what we do now. If you read like old Victorian era novels, or if you watch films from the early 20th century, then you'll know that they used to have a thing called the first post, second post, last post. And what that meant was that throughout the day, the mail service would be going from door to door, house to house around town, dropping off mail and parcels. And this would start, first thing in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and it wouldn't finish until about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And what would happen was in suburban areas, when the mailman came by to drop off your mail, he would also stop to pick up any outgoing mail. And to do this, obviously he needs to come to your house to collect it. So he'd drop off your incoming mail at the mailbox, and then he'd come up to your front door and he would ask if you had any outgoing mail. And the problem with that is that to go up and down every single front door, front path on a street takes ages. So to save himself time, when he walked down the street, when he delivered mail, he would carry this with him, and as he entered the street, he would blow the whistle, and all the householders on the street would know, the mailman is coming. I have to get my outgoing mail ready. So they would grab it and run out to the street to meet him at the gate. And so he would give him their incoming mail, and the householders would give the mailman their outgoing mail, and that would save him time, and it would make deliveries that much faster. So another one I have is this. This is a lot larger. This is about maybe 25%, 20% larger than the other whistles. And this is the Acme Scoutmaster. Acme actually made a lot of whistles for the various scouting organizations, the Girl Guides, the Boy Scouts, Sea Scouts, General Guides, made a lot of whistles for them. This is one of the largest ones. And again, it's for when scouts would go out hiking or camping or boating, and they needed to get someone's attention, they would carry one of these. And finally, one of the last whistles I have here is this one. And this is actually not made by Joseph Hudson at all. This is a whistle made by one of his main competitors, which is Alfred de Courcy, who also had a factory in Birmingham. And what happened was you had, organizations all over the world who wanted whistles, and one of these organizations was the Army, and the Army wanted whistles for their officers, for their NCOs, and they would produce them like this, and if the NCO or if the commissioned officer wanted a whistle, then it was either issued to him as part of his uniform, or he would go and have to buy it. And if he bought one from the quartermaster's stores, then this is the sort of thing that he would have been given. And it says, the City Whistle Patent. And then it says, Army Stores, Melbourne, made in England. So again, this is from the, this will be from the early 20th century, probably 1910s, 1920s. And if you were a young officer who needed a whistle as part of his uniform, this is where you would have gone to buy one, and what it would have looked like. Like a lot of them, this was originally have been nickel plated. You can see some of it here. Most of it is completely rubbed off, so it's back down to the original brass. And yeah, but this one works too. And there you are. So I've got 4 more whistles from my collection. Anyway, there we are. If you want to see more, then check out the previous videos that I've made. I may be making more, going through the rest of my collection in the days or weeks to come, so keep an eye out for those. If you've got any questions or anything, then post them in the comments down below. If you want to read more about the stuff that I collect or sell, then check out my eBay profile or go to my blog. The links for those are down below. Thank you very much for watching.